Hello and welcome to Confidently Wrong, a show by regular dudes talking with confidence about content we have no right to speak about with any kind of authority, but do it anyway. I'm Wesley Nakamura, and as always, I'm joined by Mike Smith, award-winning director Brian Redondo, and Savon Jones, aka Captain Vonnie. This is episode 21, and on today's show, we break down a new animated series that can be found on Amazon Prime Video called Invincible. We've been loving it. We want to talk about the things that we think it's doing really, really well. The season is still ongoing. Just be aware that there will be some spoilers in the second half of the show. So if you haven't seen it yet, you can definitely listen to the first part, but then you'll want to go watch the show to avoid any spoilers. I'm confident that it's going to be the very best show you've ever listened to, and well, hey, if it's not, you can always ask us for a refund. Invincible, new animated series on Amazon Prime Video, based on comic book series.
Does this have superheroes in it? Shut up.
I mean, everything right now has superheroes in it, Mike. You've got to know that.
It's just an adaptation of the Mark Wahlberg movie.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Fly, Eagles, fly. Okay, so what's the premise?
All right.
And, try to do it in 45 seconds or less.
So it's a superhero show based on the comic book by Robert Kirkman, who wrote the Walking Dead comic books and also Outcast, which is another great comic book. So he's got his bona fides in the industry, and he's known as somebody who subverts the genre. So he sort of redefined the zombie genre with the Walking Dead, right? So he's trying to do that here again with Invincible, by kind of taking a look at sort of the familiar superhero tropes. It's sort of focused around a very Superman-like character by the name of Omni-Man, voiced by J.K. Simmons, who has a son who discovers he also has powers like Omni-Man and becomes the superhero Invincible. And they're surrounded by this whole superhero universe that's very much like Justice League with a dash of S.H.I.E.L.D. And the Avengers. But Robert Kirkman is trying to subvert kind of our expectations around what it means to be in a superhero universe. So a lot of the drama in Invincible has to do with what does it mean for a father and son to be superheroes? What is that tension when the son maybe doesn't want to be a superhero or doesn't like the things that his dad does, or that the dad doesn't want his son to take on certain types of missions? What does it mean for Mark, Invincible's mom, who's non-superheroed, and sort of how they interact with other superheroes, right? Like what kind of tensions do they have? So the show does a lot of really fun things around these superhero geeky ideas.
It's a comedy or a drama?
It's a little of both. It definitely has a lot of fun and whimsy with what it's doing, because it knows it's playing around with all these superhero ideas. But I think at the core, it is a serious story. In part because it can get hyper violent, but in a way like The Boys was hyper violent. In a very dark comedy kind of way, this show gets hyper violent to show you that the stakes are real. Like people really get hurt. Invincible really gets hurt, and that's kind of what makes him question whether or not he's cut out to be a superhero.
Yeah, well, I mean, 30 seconds later in the show, he's back to normal. It's like a week later in the show, but yeah.
This sounds legit.
It's a pretty. I feel like this is a superhero story for you. For comic book writers, it's like the comic for comic book writers, I feel like, because it's got so many cool ideas about how to twist what we might already think about comics. Like one really fun example is that Omni-Man, right, the Superman type character, has to regularly beat up some alien that visits Earth periodically, right? And so in this one episode, he sends his son to go out and do it instead. And then the son is getting his ass whooped by this alien, but then realizes that they can communicate with each other, and he finds out that that alien is just an inspector who comes around every so often to make sure that Earth's defenses
They're
are
up to
okay.
code.
Yeah.
And they're just throwing the most vicious of hands. Like, Invincible is getting the work. And the funny thing is, mid-fight, he's like, hold on. And the dude, like, respects the yields. He was like, oh, wait, you yield? Like, oh, timeout? And then he's like, yo, wait, what the hell is this? It's hysterical.
Wait, so before we get too far, are we getting into like spoilers discussion, or are we going to stay in the non-spoilers for just a second? Because I wanted to ask Savon also, if you were recommending the show to a friend, what kind of friend, should watch it, and what kind of friend maybe shouldn't watch it?
Friends who like the genre of superhero movies that subvert the genre of superhero movies.
Well, it's about what you subvert, because that's the thing. Because you can subvert a million different things, how you do it, and there's still like other stuff you got to do besides subvert, and that's what they do well, right? So I would recommend this if you just like all of the best moments aren't really the superhero stuff, it's the character interactions and the drama. Like, even episode 6, there were 2 scenes where it wasn't superhero stuff, it wasn't superpowered stuff, and I was on the edge of my seat anxious because of a conversation between 2 characters, and I was sitting there just like, yo, I was ready to cover my face because the writing has just built the stakes and made these character interactions so tense that no one gets hurt. There's no violence, but just the undertones of the conversation and you knowing what's going on, it really draws you in. And that has nothing to do with the superhero element of the show. And I think, Wes and Brian, y'all seem to be not in agreement. Like,
Are we talking 20-minute episodes?
No. These are like 47 to... These episodes
For
are
real?
Like fleshed out.
Yeah. This is a serious cartoon.
A lot of the best interactions are, the superhero stuff is cool as like a set piece, but all of the highs have more to do with just the character interactions. And they're really, like, one thing I'm enjoying with the show is, in terms of tone, they really embrace the camp of what a superhero universe really looks like. So there really are, like,
how is this different from The Boys?
It's less grounded. It's less grounded.
So it's like a middle ground between Harley Quinn and The Boys.
Even less than Harley Quinn, maybe. Like, there's people casually know about alternate dimensions. There's dragons. There's aliens. There's magic. Like, these things aren't... It's not even like the MCU where it's like it's implied. Like, yo, there are just mages. That's just a thing. You just don't even question it. Demons exist. Like, that's not a... Like, demons are a thing. People know about demons. It's common knowledge. So they get really creative with just the characters they place in the world. And that's something that's really, really fun. Like, the character designs and superhero stuff, they go full send with it and they're not really constricted by, we want it to be a little bit realistic. The only thing that's realistic is people's reaction to get hurt.
Yeah. And that's the thing. All that lore exists in their universe, but that's not the focus of the show. All of that is almost kind of like, I don't know, like dressing. What's really at the core is what Savon said, is like the tension between all the characters. That's probably on a very, very kind of, deeply interpersonal and almost mundane kind of way, right? It's like the relationship between father and son. It's the relationship between him and his girlfriend. It's the relationship between coworkers, and all of that. And then on top of that is this kind of like overarching plot thread of mystery and kind of something very sinister is going on, right? So that's sort of what's driving each episode. And I think, unlike The Boys, this show is really invested in those kind of dynamics more so than the satire. Like I think The Boys is kind of like all about the dark humor and the satire and kind of like sending up corporate culture and everything going on in the U.S. I don't think Invincible cares about any of that. Yeah,
this isn't a satire. This is just a
exactly
what. I was just gonna say, like, what is going like with these animated superhero shows with stacked casts? Like, it's just everybody's about it now. So, like, first off, the main character, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, Steven Yeun, who's just killing it right now. I just see his name
Oscar
everywhere.
nominated.
Yeah, dude, he's just killing it. He's got another big movie coming out, I think, with A24. J.K. Simmons, who rocks. Jillian Jacobs, who rocks. Zazie Beetz, who rocks. Mark Hamill, Seth Rogen, who is a Jew, I'm obligated to like. It's just like I know everybody.
Mahershala
going up to
Ali, isn't it? 2-time Oscar winner.
He kills his role.
Yeah, it's heavyweights, and we
J.K.
can't
Simmons
forget
is a
Sandra
beast.
Oh. Yep.
Beast. Hey there, Confidently Wrong listeners. This is Wesley chiming in from the future, but now it's the past because I did this before, but it's the future compared to the show that you're listening to. Anyways, we're going to get into some spoiler discussions here regarding Invincible. So if you'd rather not have the show be spoiled, go watch it on Amazon Prime Video and then come back to our show to hear our takes. Returning you back to the show in 3, 2, 1, now. Yeah. So, I don't know, what have been some of the coolest moments out of this show? Because I just feel like there's so many like reasons to like the show. What are you guys like really digging?
I think they're not they're not constrained by design of characters or really a lot of rules of what they want their universe to be. So they just like the idea of aliens from another dimension who hyper age and have had a whole arc of, Invincible.
I love that. That was so
Invincible
cool.
having an arch nemesis because he scars his face. They hyper age, they come back, and they keep adapting. Like, I thought that was such a cool concept because Invincible at the end has like this old school armored old guy arch nemesis who clearly hates his guts, and for that to happen over the arc of an episode, like, that's really fun, and you're not constrained by the whole series to do that, so you got to just have a lot of fun with that. I loved it.
I'm really into like the cast of superheroes that surround our main characters in this. So I think like Omni-Man and Invincible are really cool, and like that whole dynamic is going to come to a head like we know it. There's a lot of tough love and maybe something even beyond tough love. Maybe there's something more sinister going on. But then the crew of superheroes surrounding them, like Adam Eve and Robot and Jason Mantzoukas' character, I forget his name.
Rexplosion.
Rexplosion, yeah. The guy who's got like Gambit like powers,
Yeah.
but is like a total douchebag.
It's such a
Monster Girl, that's such a cool idea. The Hulk type
yeah,
character, every time she goes into Hulk mode, she de-ages. So she's getting younger by the day. Like, she's in the 12-year-old's body, but even though she's like a 20-something-year-old woman. So, those kind of things I think are really interesting. And the fight scenes in this, when they really invest into the fight scenes, I think the animation in the show can be spotty overall and a little bit stagnant. But when they really invest in the fights, in the the biggest fights of the show, they're pretty incredible. And the huge
they
fight,
do the Archer thing where it's like just the eyes move, like the whole character will be static,
Yeah.
just the eyes move for a while. And they're like, okay, that's enough to convey.
we know all their budget went to the A-list
The casting.
actors. Yeah.
Which it works though, because like it's literally a case of substance over style, and with a lot of superhero stuff, you don't always quite expect that, but that's what this is. And I just want to say, like, specifically when it comes to fight scenes, when they just had that interdimensional battle cat thing, I was just like, dude.
Oh man,
They
that
just
guy
took
was awesome.
Battle
it was
Beast.
Battle Beast, yeah, it was just a bit character, no real role in the story, just a mercenary. And for them to just steal the show is just. I
But
love
you
it.
like the few lines that they gave him, you just knew like, oh my god, just like this character that exists who's just there for a good fight, and then he's just like a hired gun who wants to test his mettle against Earth's mightiest. Like, that in and of itself is a very cool and fun idea, and I think this show is just like chock full of them. Oh, we didn't even talk about what's his name, the demon. I forget his character's name.
Damien Darkblood.
Dark Blood, that's right. Who's like the Hellboy detective working the major
Dead
case.
Man.
Yeah, Constantine. Like, who
Wait,
knows?
where I'm confused a little bit by his storyline. Where are we with him? Like, was he okay? So he was doing the investigating. He accuses. No, he tells the wife, "It's probably your husband," based on the data that I have, or
Right.
based on the things that I've done or seen. Where does he go next? He has the confrontation with Omni-Man. Then what happens?
But Omni-Man
confused.
also tells his handler, or not, maybe not his handler, but it's kind of like the Nick Fury equivalent,
Cecil.
that Dark Blood is suspect. in all of
Okay.
this. And he's trying to work Cecil over to get Darkblood off his case. So Cecil, who doesn't trust Omni-Man,
Right.
still uses it as an opportunity to get rid of Darkblood. And so he does this whole like exorcism thing, right, and sends Darkblood back to hell.
Yeah, but to be clear,
Okay.
Cecil establishes that Darkblood is correct. Like, Cecil doesn't disagree with Darkblood. Cecil makes it very clear that he knows that it was Omni-Man who did it. For him, it's a case of, like, we're biding our time because we can't just go out and accuse this man, because then what? Like, he's clearly the strongest force on Earth, so he's in that, like, he specifically says, right, I'm trying to keep things gray right now because we know that it's Omni-Man, but if you just go full sin and try and accuse the man, that doesn't do us any good. He's the strongest being on the planet, and we've seen that he can clearly destroy a planet if he puts his mind to it, as we saw with those interdimensional people, right? So,
Right.
which, by the way,
Oh,
she's
man.
my favorite character.
But the wife is now coming at him.
Yeah, but
This seems like a terrible idea.
it's going to come to a head for sure.
yeah, it's gonna, but can you blame the wife? Like, that's a heavy burden to. Like, we don't know what's going to happen with it. But even then, she might not go public with it.
If you know he's capable of that and you know what he's physically capable of, you maybe are more in fear than you are furious.
Yeah,
And
but
so I
it's
think that's an interesting thing, right? She is not afraid that he's going to hurt her. And that is something that we know that she maybe should be a little bit more afraid that he's going to hurt her.
Right. And I think that speaks to the depth of their relationship. That they do
It's
really
more
feel
complicated.
like a sincere, earnest married couple who've been together through thick and thin, and now that is being tested to its limits. So we as an audience have no idea how it's going to shake out.
By the way, all these are character interaction stuff, not action moments. Like,
Absolutely.
When Debbie's doing her
for sure.
investigating, that was some of my favorite moments, because I'm just sitting there like, yo, she really sent him on a fool's errand around the world, did the math on how long
Just
it
for 20 minutes.
For 20 minutes. And, like, that was such a well-done bit that, like, a lot of shows, I think, have trouble really fleshing out the non-superpowered characters. And to have the mom be such an interesting and compelling character is, again, that's a testament to the writing. Like,
Definitely.
I'm enjoying Debbie's arc a lot because I feel for the woman.
Yeah,
Like, she's
and
in a
core.
crazy spot.
She also defies Omni-Man's kind of fatherly tutelage of Invincible and says like, "Oh, you can go help this this black supervillain that you met who wants your help to deal with something that Omni-Man considers low level and beneath him, but still a real world problem, right? She obviously experiences life as a human, not as a Viltrumite, not as a super being." So she recognizes the value in superheroes actually dealing with some of these more real world problems, not just battling life-threatening aliens.
It's okay to be the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Exactly. And she's defying Omni-Man's fatherly wisdom. So I think it's going to be really interesting with the fallout between Omni-Man and Debbie. What does that mean for their son, right? And so then I think there'll probably be some sort of like divorce family drama happening, or worse. There could be a homicide involved, domestic violence. Who knows?
Or just like or it could be a Breaking Bad situation where she can't leave, and now there's just vitriol and tension, and like we're all together but not together. Like, there's a lot of ways.
We're
they
still
could take
talking about Invincible.
Yeah.
Damn straight, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
characters.
the Friday night show that's better than the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Wow.
In terms of the character interactions, yeah, man. Like how there's a lot of fun stuff they're doing, and the little after credit scenes, the little setup stuff. They do a lot of really cool stuff, man.
All right. Well, I hope people are going to get into it because of our show. Amazon will send us some of that pesos,
Quick thing,
and
if you
let us
do
get
not
working
like
here.
violence, if you do not like hyper violence, do not watch this show. I know people who don't like blood, they don't like gore. This show is violent, and it earns its mature rating, is what I'll say.
And it's meant to hurt too.
Yeah.
When you see those, it's like Last of Us kind of violence. It's meant to be painful to watch.
Yeah, maybe not quite that far, but yeah, for sure. It's a lot. All right. Well, let's keep tabs on that. I don't know if they're in the works on season 2 already, or if they've got greenlit.
It hasn't been renewed yet. I
Okay.
looked it up.
people. I wonder if people are going to start pushing for that. I don't know. I kind of like it. It's just like a 1-season thing, and it's kind of in and
this
out.
show might be the tipping point. You
Wait,
know?
what show?
Yeah.
Invincible
Our show
has
might be the
not
tipping
yet
point.
been- Confidently Wrong is gonna be like, bringing back.
Hey, we succeeded on Warrior.
Yeah,
I'll take the
before
win on
we
Warrior.
started talking about it, it wasn't. We talked about it. Now it is.
They got the confidently wrong bump.
We manifested, baby.
Yeah, we manifested it. In this show, we manifest.
That's the secret.
All right. Well, let's wrap up this episode here. Thanks, guys. It was great. Next week, we'll be back with What We're Loving, and we'll talk about some grab bag. There's a lot going on in the pop culture world.
In the zeitgeist.
Make sure that you follow us on Twitter, Instagram, @confidently_pod. Leave us a comment. Make sure you're subscribed to us also in your favorite podcast distribution service. Friends, it's been a wonderful time. We'll see you on the next pod.